welcome back. In this part, we will be carving out the pumpkin face details. So before we get into loading the Carve design of the face details, let's organize our scene a little bit. We haven't talked about the project structure, but it's always a good idea when working on a bigger project that would have multiple assets like textures, models, simulations to build a Houdini project. So you can go to File, and then you can say New Project. You can call this, for example, Halloween. And then you can decide where you want this project to live. I usually have them on my D drive, but you can decide which specific folder you want for this. So I'm just going to show you an example. I'm going to open the folder. So this is the folder with the completed project. And you can see I have the actual project folder in here that was created from this menu. So if you want, you can also call it Halloween project. So let's just do. And then once you hit accept, it will generate the directory and all these folders inside. So now you can see if I dive inside this Halloween project folder, you would see all of these files here. Now you always want to save your Houdini file to the root of your folder. So go to File now, Save As, and then you just want to save here. So the $job variable would be linked to this file. So we can just call it model the shape, pumpkin shape, and you can also put a version here, so v001, and accept. All right, now let's organize the file a little bit. We are going to select all of these nodes, and I'm going to create a network box, and this is our building the shape area. So let's call this build the pumpkin shape. So this is good organizational step. For example, if you would experiment with more things, you would have clear understanding where things live. And especially if you open your Houdini file in a month, there's a big chance you wouldn't remember how you were thinking back then. But if you put these little nodes, you're just making it much easier for yourself and for anyone else who would work with your files. All right, so from here, we can choose which pumpkin we want to continue with. I'm going to continue with the original design that I had, so version 3. And we are going to now talk about the actual face designs. I will be attaching a link to this website. It's a great website. I think I first saw it was shared back when Andrew Lambert did the Halloween pumpkin tutorial. So this is a great resource for a lot of nice designs. I specifically used the one on the bottom. Let me see, just pause the video until I find it. So this is the one I have used. It's the bottom right one. It's around here if you scroll down. And then once you are happy with this design, you can just click on download link and it will open up the page. And then you can download a specific design, right? So again, if you want to follow exactly, you can just download this one. But I encourage you to explore different shapes that would really make your pumpkin unique. Okay, so after we downloaded it, let's see what's going to be the next step. So what you can do next is basically create a folder inside of your project. If you go to text, this is where I keep all the images and textures. I created a pumpkin Carve designs folder, and in this folder you can find these designs. So we will be using this image, which is black and white. So let's see how we can load it in to Houdini. So for this operation, we will use the trace node. So if you press tab, type trace, put it down. So let's bring in the image where you can see the image input. Let's click here, and then we can go to Helen project, text here, and then it was number 10. And if you want to see the images here, you can right click and show images. So let's check this one and accept, and then let's put a display flag to the trace. I'm going to rotate. So sometimes it will do a great job at identifying black and white areas and automatically excluding the rest. But sometimes you will need to help this node a little bit. So let's see how we can tweak this to get the best out of this image. So if you go to filters, we can turn on remove borders, and you can see already we got a much cleaner shape. And then if you click on the display points, you would see that there are a lot of points here, and we will be extruding this shape later on. And also there's like some text in here. So person who designed it. And then we can turn on resample shapes, and then I will use 50 for the resampling value. And now we have much less points to work with. Okay. So next, what I want to do is I want to basically make sure that my pumpkin shape sits on the ground, because right now it is not. It is, if we think about this grid as ground level 0, we need to make it sit on the ground. So I'm going to put a match size after this. And we're just going to say that the minimum of the pumpkin would be set to sit on the ground. So justify y, we're going to set to min, and then put a display flag here. I think we have to put it in the first input. Yeah. So now you can see the pumpkin sits on the ground. And then I want to align the text, the actual face, to the pumpkin shape. So we will be using another match size, and the face will go into the first input, and then the pumpkin will go to the next input. And now if I template the pumpkin, you can see that it is aligned pretty much at the center. So what we are going to do next is we will transform this detailed face forward, then we will extrude it, and then we'll cut it out from this pumpkin shape using some Boolean operations. All right, so let's put down a transform node, and I will transform it forward. So let's put a display flag here. So let's just middle mouse click, drag 0.7 should be enough. So before I extrude it back, I want to make this face to be warped onto this pumpkin shape, so we will get a little bit better integration. So we can do that with using a ray node. So if you press tab and type ray, we are going to ray the design onto the pumpkin like that. So it will basically snap it to the polygons. If I enable array, you would see that the collision geometry is blue and the design is here. So there are a couple of ways we can do this. I like to use the vector for this one, so it's exact direction. So if you right click on the direction and choose delete channels, you can just say I want to translate it in the minus axis in X, so -1. We'll put it right onto this pumpkin. Okay, so let's take a look at the result. I'm going to create null just to see it. Okay, so it's now aligned in a very nice way. You can see that we have it. Actually, it's really nice that it lines up with this cut on the edges. Okay. Next, we will be extruding this shape. The fastest way to do this is to use extrude volume. So let's put a display flag onto this. By default, it will extrude it downward, but we actually want to extrude in the, I believe this is Z axis actually. Yeah, Z axis. So let's change the base normal to be 1 in Z and 0 everywhere else. And we will just reduce the amount of extrusion to 0.5. Right, and it will flatten the back, but I actually want to keep the back distorted, so we're just going to turn off flatten base. Okay, so that's our cutout shape. Let's see what we will be doing next. So if we look at this extruded shape, it is quite flat and boring, to be honest. So if we would be cutting out this from the pumpkin, especially these sharp corners, they look a bit too computer generated. So we will add some details to this. So if we look at the topology, if I turn off smooth shaded, we definitely need some details to add some more interesting variation onto the edge. So let's add a remesh node. So remesh would take this and add a triangulated resolution. Of course, it will do this from the beginning because the target polygon size is too big. So we will reduce it to 0.025. And there we go. So this should be enough. After this, let's add a mountain. And let's plug it in. So mountain would be just acting too much on this, and I actually want this to be way lower, so 0.005. We can use smaller element size, and actually I don't want to distort it just by the normal. I want to distort it in 3D space, so I'm going to turn off noise along normal here, and yeah, this will again bring the amplitude back to 1, but let's put it back to 0.005. So there we go. Now we have a little bit more interesting details. We can also reduce the element size to 0.025. There we go. So now we have some more interesting shapes along the edges, and this will look a bit more organic and natural. So after this, let's compare where this sits against the pumpkin. So since we rayed it, it kind of got inside, so we will transform this forward. So put a transform node, and then we will translate it forward by 0.25. And let's take a look. Okay, so this is good. Now the next step would be making sure that the pumpkin has some depth. Because we can definitely go ahead and boolean it, and I'm going to show you exactly what's going to happen. So if I boolean subtract this extruded facial details, this is our pumpkin, and I'm just going to subtract this from the pumpkin in the boolean. We put a display flag here. So you can see what happens. It will cut it in, and then it will create this extra mesh in the back, and this is not what we want, right? We want to see that, you know, there is this kind of depth a little bit, and then we can see the actual inside of the pumpkin without this kind of wall in the back. So to achieve this result, we will need to extrude the pumpkin first to add it some depth to it. So let's go ahead and do that. It could be achieved by a simple poly extrude after the match size. So first tab, type poly extrude. Okay, so by default, it will be using the normals for the extrusion. So let's put the display flag here. So I'm going to extrude it inward. So if I middle mouse click and then go back to somewhere around 0.055. All right, so you would see something like this. So this is how the interior part actually looks like. I think if we use point normal, it will give us a bit smoother result. Maybe, yeah, because I use the point normal in the final, so let's keep using that. So after this one, it generated the interior part, but we actually still need the front, right? So if I turn on output back, this is our front, and we can even create the group for the front part. After this, I actually want to smooth out some of the details in there. And we can actually see how, I'm going to turn this off for a second. We're going to see what the smooth node can do to this. Let's put down smooth. And you can see it cleaned up some of the bad intersecting polygons. I'm going to use the filter quality of 1, so it smooths it a bit stronger. And then let's add that part back. So output back. Okay, there we go. So this is what we have. You can see when we extruded, the polygons got reversed because we basically extruded it inward and then added this outer inverted shell. So we'll need to reverse them. Press tab, type reverse. This is a pretty common operation, so we're just going to reverse the polygons back. And then after this one, we can now finally put this through the boolean, and let's take a look at the result. And there we go. So now we can see that we can still see the interior of the pumpkin, and we can see all the nice details on the sides. So if I turn off the wireframe, there we go. So this is how that noise helped to make this pumpkin look like that. And if you don't like the smooth effect, if you think this is too strong, you can reduce the strength here to something like 5, for example. It will keep some of the sharp details. We will be sharpening the details a bit later when we will add even more details on the surface, but for now this should be good. Also, there is one little correction that we need to do. I checked out my original file, so actually before we do this whole match size, there is a subdivide node here that after the blend shapes, we basically add some more resolution to this, and it is set to 1 currently. Let's set it to 2 because this was the original value. It will add more polygons and it will make the shape a little bit sharper overall. And also here we will see that now we have more details. Yeah, so there we go. So, and we can probably go back and smooth it. Well, I think this is fine. Maybe 10. That's the 10. All right. So now we have sharper shape. So this is pretty easy, but sometimes the boolean wouldn't work, wouldn't give you such a clean mesh out of the box, and you will need to do more custom cutting using VDBs. So I just want to show you how you can approach something like that if you'll need to. So the first thing that comes to mind would be, oh, let's just, you know, convert this to a VDB. Let's actually do that. Let's do tab VDB polygons. and let's give it a good resolution, 0.05. All right, and then let's do the same to the extruded pumpkin. Okay, and then we would say, oh, let's just do VDB combine. So we will plug the pumpkin first, we'll plug this one second, and then we will do operation SDF difference, because VDBs are assigned distance field. So you can see we got the same problem as if we would boolean out the non-extruded pumpkin, even though we are creating a VDB from this one. So there is a slightly different workflow that we can do to fix this. And I'm going to show you how to do that very quickly. So what we need to do after this, we will need to now subtract the extruded pumpkin that only contains the back side. So in other words, we have our full pumpkin here, and we can hold Alt and drag it to the side. And for this one, I'm going to turn off output back, so we only have the inside part. And then let's select the smooth node, Alt, click and drag, so we also have it smoothed. There we go. So then we will create another VDB. Let's just put these like that. I'm going to take the VDB from polygons that has the same resolution, hold Alt, click and drag. So now we'll create a VDB out of this interior piece, and then we will subtract it again from this one. So VDB combine, we'll subtract this from this, and again it's going to be SDF difference. So now you can see we got pretty much a very similar result to this one. I still like the Boolean a bit better, because if it works out of the box, it's great, and you can also create a lot of groups here right away. It creates a nice topology from the cuts, but it is up to you, because sometimes Boolean wouldn't work. So after this, what you would do is convert db, and then you can say from convert to polygons, and now you'll have something like that. All right, so feel free to continue with any way you want. If you want to optimize this a little bit, you can turn on adaptivity 0.01 or 0.005. Should give you a nice amount of details. But we will need a more even topology like this for future operations. All right, so that basically concludes the carving out the face details part, and then in the next section we will add the color, the stem, and extra surface details to the pumpkin.